Hey there, I just want to say yoga can be for everyone. However, it is your responsibility to determine if you are ready and able to perform this workout video. If you or a family member have a history of heart disease, high blood pressure, or are obese with any physical or medical condition that could be aggravated by a physical activity, please consult a physician before proceeding. If you are pregnant, also consider consulting a physician. If you have any history of injury such as neck, back, shoulder, or knee, please proceed with caution and stop immediately if you feel any pain, lightheadedness, or nausea. The user assumes all risks. Thanks, and I'll see you on the mat. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Connection Yoga. My name is Kat, and today we are going to be taking it easy for a very unique pose breakdown. The pose is called Reclining Vishnu couch pose. So it is definitely one of a kind. It has a unique background and expression in the body that we are going to get through today. So starting with a brief demonstration so we kind of know what I'm talking about, I'm going to demonstrate the pose. So I know that just looked really weird and random, and it is really random, but it has definite impact in the body. So we are going to break it down. It comes from a mythological background. The name itself is the serpent of the couch in which Vishnu lays on. So it is said that the god Vishnu is reclining as we are on a serpent, but instead of a serpent, we will be laying on our mat, our earth, wherever we've got to lay down and explore this posture. So what makes it physically unique is that it is the only true side posture, like on your side yoga posture. I mean, there's some that you kind of get on your sides, but they're more like prone poses or on your back. And so this one is unique in that fashion. It also targets two parts of the body, mainly the side of the torso and the inner thighs and backs of the legs. So we're going to talk about those as we talk about getting yourself into this posture. So feel free to join along with me as I break it down. So first you're going to lay on to your stomach just to get nice and long. You can stack your hands under your forehead and start to point your toes, maybe feel your full length. Maybe shift over a little bit so when you roll, you don't roll off your mat if you're on one. And then roll to one side. Doesn't matter which one, because we're going to do both, okay? So you're just laying flat here to start with everything stacked. Hip on top of hip, foot on top of foot, shoulder on shoulder. And so then you're going to lift your hand and your head. You're going to bring your hand in, fingertips pointing down toward your neck with the palm of your hand cupping your ear or your temple. Whichever feels a little bit more comfortable for you. Fingertips are pointing down. Elbow is bent, creating a nice, stable, gentle support up here at the head. Top arm can be grounded in front of you for a little bit of support and stability, because I know I did it quite easily and I was pretty impressed, but the first time I tried to do this pose, I definitely flopped over because it can be a little tricky, and this is definitely a unique positioning. So it's great to bring in to mix up your body and your practice. So I'm glad that we are doing it today. So next, with your hand grounded for support, your bottom leg, I suggest taking a little bend in your knee. Your foot is still flexed, and what you need to do is squeeze your butt cheek slightly on the grounded leg so that it presses the leg into the earth. So that pressing sensation, that grounding of your leg all the way up to your hip is going to help balance you for when you start to lift your leg. So pressing out of the ball of the big toe, soft bend in the knee, because the straight of the line means less surface area coverage, so less space to balance on. So that's why I suggest the bend in the knee, and then maybe later you can straighten it if you realize that you can do it. Top leg is still straight and flexed, the knee is extending, and you're going to lift the leg up to the sky, rotating it so that the toes start to point towards your face. And this is where the balance really starts to come in, is when you start to rotate. So when you lift from the side and your feet are both flexing the same, there's less of the torquing. But we want to rotate the foot to try and get some of those external rotators working here. And that's where the balance comes in, because we want the rotation to come in our hip joint here and not in our spine. So as you might lift, you might start to notice, whoop, I'm falling back, okay? That's normal. That's kind of how the body wants to balance you out, but you need to focus on grounding the bottom leg down, lifting and rotating, keeping your upper torso square to the earth, long. Maybe you bump your elbow out a little further to try and lengthen. And you can push your elbow down as you push your leg down. So you've got your leg lifted here, and it's pretty active. The back of the leg is all lengthening here. So the inside of your thigh, your hamstring, your calves right here around the knee joint on the back side is all working to extend the leg and to drive the hip down to sort of balance and ground you, keeping you nice and stable. So we start to move up more into the core area of the body. As you can see, the underside body is passively lengthening, or maybe a little more active if you're short and tight in this region, and that's okay. Ooh, I'm feeling it in my glutes actually right now, but anyway, side body should be lengthening, and you can see the upper body is slightly bending in, but you still want to be, still lengthening, allowing that to work. So next, coming up into our arms, we've already got the ones situated, and you might start to feel it in the wrist. You take a few turns and then bring it back in. We're just bringing it down, so that's why it might be feeling it. Okay? So then you're going to reach for the leg. So I can grab my toes quite easily, but I know that's not everybody, okay? So don't worry if it didn't just come to you when you reached your hand up there, okay? And if you start to fall, bring your focus, your intention back into this space, into your body. Grounding the legs down and reaching as far as you can. Maybe you just reach for the ankle and that's what you can grab. That's cool. You're going to start to pull it in. Toes are still facing you. Body is still flat. Spine is still long. Okay, keep your gaze forward. I know you want to look up at the foot, but that can help to start to rotate the upper torso. We want to stay square and continue to pull it in, okay? So if you have those toes, you can do the same, pulling it in. If that's not even within reach, you're like, over here, that's okay. Okay, so you just need to grab the back of the thigh behind the knee. Wherever you grab and you pull it in, you want to keep a soft bend in the knee, never locking it out and really stretching too hard the muscles around that joint. So you can use your hand on the back of your thigh. Again, it's tricky balance. Pull it in and still get that lengthening in the back of the leg, the inside body. But that bind of the toe can really help to keep the toes in line, coming towards the face, like we want to be able to get into these deep inner thigh adductor muscles. So that is generally it. I'm going to switch sides, and I suggest you do it with me just to even things out and let our organs shift to the other side. So again, on your side, hand comes up, take a bend in your bottom leg and press it into the earth. Lift the top leg, maybe hand is in front of you for support, and rotate the foot, the hip. So you're rotating essentially the femur in your hip joint, and that kind of rotates your hip joint itself. So doing all that reaching for the bind that works for you. It's just pull it in. It's a little active because you're balanced, but it's a little ease. So I think that's the goal in most yoga, is gonna put some effort in, but find a little ease, a little softening, a little work. So that's it. This is a really random, really beautiful pose I thought I might share. You know, there's inner thigh issues can speak to everybody. And this might be a little bit difficult on the mobility, but can really reach into the back of the leg and isolate it, with it being asymmetrical. If that was a bit too much, there are a few modifications beyond that we can talk about. First, mainly, if the legs themselves were feeling too much, just take a bigger bend in the knees and keep them stacked, and just allow the work in the upper body to happen. Lengthening your side body and staying stacked, and allowing the muscles to passively lengthen on the outer leg here. Not as much action at the back of the legs. The next one is to essentially create tree on your side. So you still have the rotation of your hip out and some flexion, but not as much flexion as lifting it all the way. So you turn to rotate it and plant the foot down in front of the leg, creating this sort of side tree. And it can be just as active. I'm feeling it here, and I kind of like it, but it's tricky for me because I've got really tight rotation in my hip, and so this is an active pose for me. It might not be for you. You might be like, okay, I'm feeling it, but not really, and that's okay. So this is just another modification that can help. You might want to do it beforehand, and then you can extend the leg up. Another modification you can do, if extending that all the way up is a whole lot, what you can do is keep the toes pointing up and your knee bend, and just instead pull it in kind of bent, still staying stacked, spine. Again, balance is still, you're still balancing, but you're also working the back of the leg, the outer hip abductors. And so that is this. I feel like I needed to be on a chaise lounge doing this reclining couch pose. So I hope you enjoyed it and felt a little bit something different. Regarding breath, it should be fairly easy to maintain breath here, but what it can actually introduce is a way to break up a breathing habit. So when our organs are shifting to the side, that is completely different from when we are leaning forward or standing upright, or even laying on our back, where they just kind of compress back down. On the sides, it shifts, and it might allow for one side to breathe a little bit more than the other, and just give you space to explore what your breathing feels like in your side bodies, into your obliques, your ribs, and even all the way up here into the muscles, the intercostal muscles along your rib cage and upper torso region. So there's so much that's under the body working in this pose. So you just have to explore it and kind of let it do its work on you, and be open-minded as always. So that's this pose. I hope you learned something new about anything, whether it was the history or your body or the pose itself. It's important to learn something new every day. So I hope if you're not subscribed and you're interested in more content, you go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Otherwise, I really do appreciate the likes. It helps further spread the mindfulness to the masses. So please hit the like button before you go, and then I'll see you next time on the mat. Namaste, everyone.